The greatest loneliness is not when you are alone, but when you are with someone and still feel invisible. Erich Fromm. If you've ever loved an avoidant partner, that line probably hit you hard, because the real pain isn't when they leave, it's when they're right there with you on the couch, in the room, in your life, yet never truly present. They say they love you, but their eyes look away. They promise tomorrow, but retreat and slowly, you start questioning yourself. Am I too sensitive? Am I asking for too much? Or maybe I'm just not enough. In today's world, we have endless ways to connect: social media, dating apps, podcasts, endless self-help content about love. And yet, the cruelest irony of this hyper-connected age is the profound loneliness that exists inside relationships. You can share a bed with someone, share a home with them, share years of your life, and still feel like you're in love with a ghost. Avoidance is not independence. It's not strength. It's a mask. It's armor that many of us had to put on as children to survive neglect, criticism, or abuse. But when we carry that armor into adult love, it slowly tightens, choking not just the one who wears it, but also the one who's trying so hard to love them. And if you're watching this, chances are you're tired of loving someone who is always half in, half out. Or maybe you're the one hiding behind the walls of silence. Either way, this isn't just a story about them or about you. This is the story of how one attachment style can quietly drain love, meaning, and joy out of your life, and what you can do to finally stop the cycle before it takes more than you can bear. Avoidance doesn't always look obvious. It isn't always about cutting people off, disappearing without a trace, or vanishing from someone's life. There's a subtler, quieter form that is just as damaging and just as painful: covert avoidance. And the dangerous thing is, most people who live this way don't even realize they're doing it. On the surface, they can appear perfectly normal. They have steady careers, friends, families, even long-term relationships. They show up to work, they make conversation, they attend gatherings. But if you look closer, you'll see they keep an invisible distance, like a sheet of glass between themselves and the world. You can see their outline, but these are the people who always find a reason to keep others at arm's length. They're perpetually busy, and not just busy in the ordinary sense. They wear busyness like a badge of honor. They're always running late by the same 13 minutes. They're always saying, "I've just been so busy," as if repetition can make it true. To them, busy isn't simply a state of life, it's a shield. If everyone believes they're busy, no one will demand too much, no one will expect closeness, and no one will ever get close enough to see the vulnerability underneath. But behind the mask lies a raw truth: the fear of being hurt. Covert avoidance often begins in childhood, when a child learns that closeness carries risks: being criticized, shamed, ignored, or abandoned. To survive, they learn to smile, to look fine, to perform, to maintain surface-level relations. But the price is steep. They lost the chance to be truly seen. So when they grow up, they might become successful, polite, and sociable adults, but deep inside, they're still that lonely child, convinced that if anyone ever looks too closely, they'll walk away. Covert avoidance isn't about being alone. It's about being surrounded by people, yet never letting them truly see you. That single line is a mirror that makes many people pause. Maybe this is me. Because covert avoidance doesn't cut you off from society. You still show up, still post on social media, still laugh with friends. But deep down, you know nobody ever touches the real you. Picture someone who always carries a camera to parties. They smile, they take pictures, they flit around the room. To everyone else, they look fully engaged. But the camera is really an excuse, a shield. It allows them to leave conversations after just a few minutes. "Sorry, I need to grab another shot." That way, they never have to risk silence, vulnerability, or the simple question, "How are you, really?" Or imagine someone who is always the last to arrive, always late by exactly 13 minutes. They have endless explanations: traffic, kids, a packed schedule, all perfectly reasonable. But over time, the lateness itself becomes a message. "I'm not fully here with you." And the people around them eventually adjust. They stop expecting much. The relationship survives, but the tragedy is that avoidant people often don't see this pattern for what it island. In their minds, they're just busy. just needing space, just managing life. But if you dig deeper, it's defense. It's a strategy to keep connections safe, never too deep to hurt, but never deep enough to heal. And the result? Loneliness in the arms of others. A life lived without ever letting the exhaustion of constantly performing as the busy one, the independent one, the one who doesn't need anyone. But the longer you play that role, the more you lose touch with yourself. And one day, you wake up to find that the very thing you were avoiding, pain, has become your reality. You are living a life drained of love, intimacy, and meaning. That is why the first step of healing is to recognize covert avoidance. To face the truth. Maybe you're not isolated, but you've never really allowed anyone close. And that awareness is the first key to unlock a new door, where love is no longer a performance, but a genuine presence. In the previous part, we uncovered the hidden pattern of covert avoidance, where you can be smiling in a crowd, fully functioning, yet never allowing anyone to truly. And now the pressing question emerges. Why should you start healing now, not years from now? Because every day you delay, the cost grows heavier. There are three main reasons, and each one could change your life. First, the absence of connection drains life of meaning. You may have a stable job, a healthy bank account, and a tidy home. Outsiders might look at you and say, but inside, you still feel like a child frozen in time, stuck in the moment of being ignored or abandoned. You build a polished shell, but when night falls and your phone stays silent, you feel an emptiness so vast that even sitting in your own home feels like being cut off from life itself. That isn't real success, it's extended survival. And a life built only on survival eventually loses all meaning. Second, stopping the avoidance allows you to finally see as long as you're running, you always have excuses. I'm busy, I'm tired, it's nothing. But the moment you stop, the truth comes rushing in. Maybe it's a marriage that's cracking, a shame from the past, or a loneliness you've denied for years. Painful, yes, but that pain is the doorway out of the loop. I recall a man who once admitted he was always about 15 minutes late to everything. Everyone thought it was just poor discipline, but in truth, it was his way of delaying the moment he had to sit down and be present. One day, he arrived on time, and for the first time, he was forced to face the truth, just how lonely he really was. Painful, but it was the start of his liberation. Third, life will bring moments when you need other people. We often convince ourselves, I'm fine alone, until crisis strikes. An unexpected illness, an accident, a devastating loss, and suddenly, you realize there's no one to call. I once heard about a woman who, after surgery, spent a whole week in the hospital with only one visitor for a single hour. On the day of discharge, she had to make more than 10 phone calls just to find someone available to drive her home. Meanwhile, the bed next to hers was overflowing with flowers, family, and friends. The feeling wasn't just sadness, it was like a sentence handed down for a lifetime of. Because real relationships are your emotional insurance policy. When life shakes you, it's connection and love that hold you up. These three reasons aren't meant to scare you, but to awaken you. Covert avoidance can quietly destroy your life, turning you into a bystander in your own story. And if you've ever wondered, maybe I'm doing this too, then this very moment, right now, is your invitation to begin healing. After seeing the three reasons why healing must begin now, the next question arises, why did I end up in this cycle of avoidance in the first place? To truly break free, we need to return to the roots. Most avoidant behaviors don't appear out of nowhere. They stem from CPTSD and childhood neglect. When a child grows up in an environment of rejection, criticism, or even abuse, survival requires adaptation. The most common adaptation is whispering to oneself, I'm fine, I don't. It's a temporary shield, but when carried into adulthood, it becomes chains that restrict every relationship. On the outside, the adult may look strong and independent, but deep down remains a child who never felt safe needing someone. Another root is dysregulation, emotional and neurological overwhelm. When triggered, the brain no longer processes clearly. Thoughts distort, focus vanishes, and even the smallest tasks feel crushing. In that state, withdrawal feels like the only option. You might suddenly go silent, cancel plans, or bury your feelings to avoid collapse. But the more you avoid, the longer the imbalance lasts, convincing you that you simply don't fit with people. And then there's a crucial confusion. Defense is not the same as boundaries. Many people mistake defensive walls for healthy limits. They impose rigid rules to control their environment. Don't ever say that in front of me. Don't ever look at me that way. These rules may bring a fleeting sense of safety, but in reality, they build a lonely prison. Because no one can truly step in, and you cannot step out to connect. Here lies the key. Defendedness builds walls. Boundaries build bridges. Defensiveness erects walls, while boundaries build bridges. If you find yourself locked behind defensive walls, recognize that this is the mark of old wounds, and this is where healing begins. Identifying the roots not to blame the past, but to understand that you have both the right and the ability to build new bridges, where love and genuine connection can finally flow, where it all began. One of the most powerful ways to break the cycle of avoidance is the daily practice, a simple, consistent method to release negative energy without hurting those you love. Step 1. Write down every fear and resentment. Start with simple phrases like, I fear, or I resent. Don't worry about neatness or structure, just be honest. Step 2. When you finish, close with a short phrase. I release this, or please remove this. It's not magic, it's a signal to yourself that you've chosen to let go. Step 3. Meditate quietly for 20 minutes. No ritual required. Just close your eyes and breathe naturally. This resets your nervous system, shifting you. The beauty of the daily practice is that it gives you a healthy outlet. Instead of letting bottled up feelings explode into arguments with your partner, coworkers, or friends, you discharge them on paper. After writing and meditating, you're calmer, and you gain the space to ask, how can I express this in a better way? This is the core truth. When you calm your triggers, by soothing your inner triggers, you take back the freedom to choose, not driven by raw emotion, but guided by clarity. To be more clear, I will tell you 3 typical examples below. 1. Maisie. Long-distance relationship, extremely avoidant boyfriend. On a Saturday night, Maisie sat staring at the dark screen of her phone. Her last text had been sent 3 days ago. Did you get there safely? No reply. She had learned to console herself. Maybe he was busy. Maybe the signal was bad. Maybe. But the silence piled up like fine dust pressing down on her chest. A long-distance relationship, 4 hours apart, meeting once a month between them stretched an endless series of, we'll see later. When they did meet, the first 2 days were always tender. Breakfast by the window, long talks about old films. By the 3rd day, he would turn quiet, eyes drifting from hers, fingers scrolling his phone longer. Then, when parting, he would hug her, promise, I'll call next week, and Maisie would carry home the weight of empty days. She grew angry, calling, texting, accusing, analyzing. Every word she threw at him was like a pebble tossed down a deep well, an echo, then silence. One night, after waiting for a promised call that never came, she broke down in tears in her kitchen. Not over one text in particular, but from suddenly seeing the whole picture. She was forcing a puzzle piece that didn't fit into the frame. She remembered his, I don't like phone calls, his endlessly postponed weekends, his airy, whatever you want. And she understood the phrase, crap fit, shrinking yourself to fit a reality that will never hold you. The next day she wrote, I fear being abandoned. I resent the silence. I fear I'm not worthy. After writing, she sat in meditation for 20 minutes. Then she texted him, I need a relationship where presence is real. I'm stopping here. No accusations, no speeches. Just a small decision, the first step out of clothes that had always been too tight. 2. Lisa, self-aware avoidant. Lisa met him in autumn, the city covered in golden leaves. He carried a kind of steady presence that made anyone feel safe, listening as if time could stretch infinitely just to hold her story. Lisa had lived through rooms filled with shouting, cold stares sharp as knives, and one day a mother lost as suddenly as a storm. Her body learned to curl inward, smile at the right time, retreat when needed. But with this man, his gentleness triggered panic. If he sees all my chaos, what then? She began to defend, staying silent when he reached out, scheduling busyness just as he wanted to meet, dodging questions like, how do you really feel? Once, when he said, I love you, her throat closed, Her mind ran to another story to hide inside. One night, after a pointless fight about a slow reply, Lisa sat down to write, "I fear being seen. I resent myself for going mute." She exhaled, then reread their texts. Between the lines, she finally saw the bids for connection she had overlooked. "Did you eat dinner? Should I come pick you up? Want to walk this weekend?" Small questions, nothing grand, but each a door cracked open. The next day, when he texted, "Thinking of you," her fingers didn't run away. She answered, "Thanks for texting. Last night I was scared. I'm not good at saying it, but I'm learning." For the first time, she stepped half a step toward the light. Not a dramatic leap, but a new habit. Each time she felt fear, she would write, release, meditate. Each time he knocked, she opened. Slowly, she realized she didn't need to become someone else to love. She only needed to take down the old walls. 3. Nina self-sabotages long-term relationships. Nina loved like a storm, tender when calm, destructive when afraid. A childhood of constant moves made every attachment feel like a temporary train stop. She learned to prepare for leaving from the very beginning. She had 2 long relationships of 6-7 years each like a half-built house, walls standing, roof covered, but foundations always shaking. Whenever the sense of about to lose rose in her chest, even just a weekend trip or a careless remark, Nina flipped into self-rescue mode, provoking fights, lashing out, even running into affairs, like someone leaping off a ship she feared was sinking, even while the sea was calm. After the second time seeing the devastated eyes of a kind man, Nina sat by the window before dawn. She opened her notebook. "I fear being left. I fear not being enough. I resent myself for ruining what I most wanted." The words pulled a thread out of her chest. Each sentence untied a knot. She placed her hands on the table, closed her eyes, breathed deep. In silence, she saw the old cycle clearly. Closeness to panic, to push away, to guilt, to pull back, to panic again. No more excuses. She texted him, "I want to tell you about my fear. Not so you fix it, but so I stop breaking us." When they met, she didn't blame. She named the wave before it became a storm. "When you're busy, I hear a voice saying, 'You're about to be left.' Then I want to cause drama to ease the fear. I'm practicing stopping." He sat quiet a long while, then said, "I can't promise you'll never feel scared, but I promise when you speak, I'll stay to listen." For the first time, Nina didn't run. She was scared, and she stayed. In the months that followed, she met the old crossroads again. Silent weekends, small misunderstandings. Each time, she wrote, released, meditated. Each time she wanted to distance, she asked, "Am I protecting or just building walls?" Slowly, their house gained a foundation. 3 stories, 3 different paths. Maisie learned to walk away when a relationship was just a map leading nowhere. Lisa learned to answer the small doors of presence each day, instead of hiding in the fortress of independence. Nina learned to name panic before it grabbed the wheel. What they share isn't dramatic transformation, but gentle discipline, being honest about fear, choosing small new actions right when the heart wants old reflexes. Healing doesn't turn an avoidant into someone else overnight. It teaches them to stay in love without betraying themselves. And sometimes, the bravest act isn't clinging or letting go, but pausing at the right moment to choose the path that brings you closer to yourself, closer to others, closer to life. If you've ever been deeply triggered by an argument, by shame, by anxiety, you know that isolation can feel like the perfect solution. Close the door, turn off the phone, cancel the plans. In that moment, silence feels like a warm blanket. No judgment, no rejection. But that peace is only temporary. The longer you hide, the harder it becomes to step back into the world. Many fall into what could be called, they reach for it every time they feel overwhelmed. And slowly, the invitations to dinner, the coffee catch-ups, the ordinary phone calls start to feel like unbearable weight. Each no shrinks their circle. Eventually, even when they want connection, they don't remember how to open up. The truth is, humans are wired for connection. Studies show that close relationships strengthen immunity, lower the risk of depression, and even extend life. Psychologically, our sense of self matures by being mirrored in another's gaze. by the give and take of care and attention. Isolation promises peace, but in reality, it delivers emptiness. It's like locking yourself inside a house. At first it feels safe, but eventually the air grows stale. If you've ever believed that being alone is safer, remember this: isolation doesn't protect you from pain, it only steals from you the chance to heal. Isolation promise peace, but délivre emptiness. From the warning about isolation, we move into another crucial truth. Not everyone heals in the same way. Among those who carry trauma, two distinct groups often emerge. Group 1, progressing. These are the people who, though still carrying pain, dare to envision a different future. They try tools, journaling, meditation, support groups. They take small, consistent actions and gradually notice. Their emotions no longer control them the way they once did. They can picture themselves in a new version, calm, connected, whole. Group 2, stuck. These are the people spinning endlessly in old stories. I was hurt by my parents, by my partner, by society. They blame, they lose hope, and they often believe, healing isn't for me. For them, pain becomes. Life revolves around analyzing why they hurt, instead of taking steps to move beyond it. The difference isn't the severity of past trauma, it's a belief. I can heal. That belief is like flipping on a light switch in a dark room. Not everything becomes clear at once, but you know there is a direction. A powerful metaphor is the wheel of fear and anger. It spins endlessly, pulling you into analysis, into cycles of justification. But the truth is, you can't analyze your way out. You have to jam a stick into the wheel, a concrete action, a healing tool to break it. And when the wheel stops, you finally have room to breathe, to choose a new path. As we just explored the two types of people on their healing journey, you may have recognized yourself in one of them. And even if you feel stuck, remember this: being stuck is not a life sentence, it's just a stage. Every spin of the wheel of fear and anger can be broken if you dare to insert the first stick through a small action, writing down your fears, sharing your truth, or simply allowing yourself to believe. I can heal. You are not too sensitive. You are not enough. You are simply someone trying to love while your nervous system has not yet learned how to stay. And like any skill, you can relearn, practice, and change. Your body and mind are not against you, they're signaling that it's time to find a new way. Healing your avoidant attachment style isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about reclaiming what was stolen. Your right to love and be loved deeply. Your right to hold someone's hand without fearing loss. Your right to breathe freely in a relationship without hiding your most vulnerable parts. Imagine, one day, you no longer disappear into silence, no longer need to run to feel safe. Instead, you can stay with the storm and whisper to yourself, I'm okay, I'm worthy, and I deserve love. That isn't a distant dream, it's a real possibility, beginning with the small steps you choose today. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment and share your story, or the moment you realized you wanted change. Subscribe to the channel for more healing tools and guidance. And remember, together, we are learning to reconnect one step, one breath, one brave heart at a time.